Kentucky defensive tackle Justin Rogers. Justin Rogers is visiting this weekend. 6'3", 332-pound defensive tackle. He started every game this season for Kentucky in the SEC, okay? Now, Steve Wiltfong from 24/7 Sports, he was the first to report that Rogers is going to be visiting Coral Gables this weekend. Now, Rogers, he perfectly fits the size profile. Seems like he checks off boxes when it comes to character and leadership, because everybody out of Kentucky has nice things to say about Rogers. And this is not a player that they wanted to lose. Okay. Like sometimes you hear about certain players hitting the transfer portal for a change of scenery, and the fan bases there are like, yeah, you know what? Go on, go out there, go try something new. That's not the case with Rogers, who, by the way, a couple years ago was a 5-star recruit and one of the top 2 players in Kentucky's recruiting class. So this past season in Kentucky, he recorded 35 tackles, 1.5 TFL, had a half sack in 2022. His best games were against Georgia. It's nice to have a good game against a good team like that, and also against Vanderbilt, combined for 15 tackles in those games. Now, with Rogers, you hear those stats and you're like, well, 35 tackles, just a half a sack. I don't think these stats tell the full story with Rogers because of the system that he played in as a nose tackle. Rogers' primary job at Kentucky was to occupy multiple blockers and free up other defenders to make plays. He's very effective as a space eater and as a physical force. I mentioned he's a former 5-star recruit. He's out of Detroit, Michigan. Miami is going to have to fight off competition for Rogers. Now, I mentioned Steve Wiltfong reported he is visiting Miami this weekend. That obviously that's a reliable reporter, and that report has been confirmed since that point. So he is coming this weekend. Miami is going to have to fight off competition, though, from the likes of LSU. He's visiting LSU before he arrives in Miami, so I would imagine he's probably there right now on Friday at the time I'm talking about this, okay? And Rogers, and this may kind of depend on how the visits go for him this weekend. Like if he were to decide by the end of the weekend, you know what, I love Miami. I've seen what I need to see. Hopefully that's going to be the case. But, he might also next weekend visit Alabama and Auburn. So, yeah, Miami's going to have to fight off top competition from the SEC, and he already knows the SEC well, having played there in Kentucky. He obviously needs to realize, and I know that coaches are going to tell him this repeatedly during his visit, Miami has a big-time need at defensive tackle. I don't think Miami's going to use the word desperation with him because that's not a great sales pitch. But I'm going to say Miami, they're borderline desperate for big-time help at defensive tackle. They've already gotten a good one in this transfer portal cycle in Thomas Gore. But like I said yesterday, we got Gore, but we need more, okay? We need more than just Gore. And Rogers, if he comes to Miami, just like he did at Tennessee, he'll probably end up being a starter here alongside Leonard Taylor. And even if he's not a starter, he's going to get plenty of reps because Miami rotates their defensive tackles a lot. He would get a lot of snaps